It's a Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche series checkup with Sam Nestler of DLLS Stars. He has updates from Stars practice and more coming your way next.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe, hit that like button as well, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars. And today I'm joined by Sam Nestler once again for a series checkup of the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche. Sam is live from Denver right after Stars practice. Sam, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm good. I'm looking at my own screen on here, and it looks like a fake background. It's pretty cool looking. I like it.
It does. It looks great. So let us know what are some of the updates. We saw Miro Heiskanen was practicing, and he looks pretty good. And I know that's on a lot of Stars fans' minds right now.
Yeah, I'll start with that. Miro, pretty much a full participant in terms of doing all the drills. He's the first time he's jumped in kind of the 5-on-5 stuff. He did the same thing as he did Wednesday, which is jump in, rotating on both power play units as well. He looked good to me. Pete DeBoer said afterwards that he's pretty much a full participant. However, he has not yet taken any planned contact, is the way that he said it, which basically means that whole contact everything everyone's obsessing over, that hasn't happened yet. So with Tyler Seguin, I watched every practice and I never saw what contact looked like. It looked the same to me. But in terms of it just matters when Pete says it, that's when it is. So I would be very shocked to see Miro Heiskanen play tomorrow night for Game 4. Game 5 is still the earliest I thought heading into this series, and that's still where I stand here. I will say if they go up 3-1 and I'm a coach, I probably don't play him in Game 5 either, just in my opinion, unless he is 100% without a question ready, then of course get him back in whenever. It doesn't matter what the series is. But as of now, Miro Heiskanen has not taken contact in the terms of that next step of his process.
Alrighty, that's a great point as well. I was hoping he may be able to sneak into Game 4, but you did mention in the series preview we did, you were thinking maybe Game 5, Game 6 was going to be more likely for the return of Miro Heiskanen. And now somebody else dealing with a little something, Oscar Beck. Did you get any word or sniff around maybe what happened? We know he left in Game 3, but he did come back to finish the game. What's sort of the word on the Stars fourth line center?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It was about whatever happened in Game 2 or Game 3. I think it was somewhere in the second period. He left for a bit, then came back and finished the game. Pete said precautionary, so nothing too serious, but no reason to put him out today with a couple days off in between these two games. He'll come out. I'm sure he'll try to skate tomorrow morning skate, and they'll just see how he is. For me, this is another just my opinion type of situation. I would just put Mavrik Bourque in the lineup. I think that rotating those fourth line guys was the best way to keep everyone involved. Bourque looked good in Game 1. Beck's looked good as well. Blackwell now has earned his shot, obviously, with the play he's had and then the goal in Game 2. But for me, it's an easy time to rotate Bourque in, right? You got a guy who's, even if he's dealing with just a tiny bit of something, why not rest him, get him back in Game 5, and put in Bourque on that fourth line. They've all been great. So that's kind of what I would expect to see. But Pete did say we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Now that we have some of the updates out of the way, I just want to hear some of your first impressions of this series. Back-to-back overtime wins for the Dallas Stars. They now have a 2-1 series advantage, so that stinks for any of the Avs and Fives people out there.
Or sweeps.
Yes, or the sweep. So what have been your impressions of the first three games? Of course, Dallas came in limping into the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they have found a way to flip the switch, and I think they're causing a lot of Stars fans to be encouraged about their play in the first three games, and it's hard not to be after two thrilling overtime victories, including one in Denver.
Absolutely, and it's not like they've held on tight and found a way to win these overtime games either. They've looked really good. I mean, with everything that happened with Landeskog coming back, this arena was louder than I've ever heard an arena in my entire life. The emotional lift, I expected Colorado to be all over Dallas in the beginning of that game. And I think they had 3 shots through like 15 minutes of the game. So that is full credit to the Stars for defending well, for staying in the game, for not getting overwhelmed by all that was going on. And that's been the way kind of the whole series has gone in terms of, you look at the score of the first game, it wasn't a 5-1 game, right? It was a close game. They get that goal from Taves that pushes it out of reach. But I talked to Scott Wedgwood and Jake Ottinger today about kind of the feel of the series, and they both said the same thing. Like, these games have been, margin of error is 0, and the difference between the two teams is who executes in that final moment versus who doesn't. And if you look at, Dallas isn't getting a ton of chances in tight. They were a little bit in game 1, a little bit in game 2. That last game was really good defending on both sides. Jared Bednar said the exact same thing about his team defense in game 3. There's just not a lot of room out there, and that's what we expected this series to be. Push aside the injuries and who they're missing. If you look at Dallas versus Colorado, you expect it to be close, because this realistically could be a Western Conference final, and it's just the way that it drew out that it's a first round, which story of our lives. I feel like I talk about the same thing every year, but it's just been so tight, and the defending's been good. I mentioned Scott and Jake, and then I talked to Jim Nill and Mark Janko, assistant and GM of the Stars, this morning at practice a little bit. They expect tomorrow to be the best and tightest game of the series. And I joked with them. I said, what have the other 3 been? If it's going to be the tightest, because those games have been great. They've been high intensity, fast paced. You can't make a mistake because the other team will just turn it right up on you. And I expect nothing different tomorrow.
Yeah, very, very slim margins between these two teams. And in game 3, I loved, although Dallas was trailing for a large part of the game, they were playing so well, and the game was sort of boring. And I thought that was a theme of last year between the two teams. Dallas made every game almost really boring, and that's going to favor them because Colorado, with their speed and talent, they want to play that tempo type of hockey. And I feel like if Dallas can muck things up, that'll benefit them. And I thought that was a perfect example in game 3. Jamie Benn had 1 power play goal all regular season. He gets the power play goal in the third period. They go out and win it. And speaking of the overtime goal, you've been around Seguin for a while now, and you've seen him sort of grow up in Dallas to some degree. How satisfying was that goal for him, and maybe the locker room vibes as well after the game? I bet that was just a huge relief for him to hustle back, to grind his ass off, so to speak, to get back into the lineup, and now he's making an impact.
Absolutely. And the goal less so, but the being part of it for him, that's what he loves. The overtime goal to win a playoff game for a 25-year-old Tyler Seguin maybe would have felt like even more important. But he is, as you mentioned, matured. He's become, he's arguably half captain if you really look at this team, because Jamie Benn's the leader of this team, no doubt about it. But he is much better when he has Tyler Seguin as that vocal leader to take up some of the air in the room and be that guy, because Jamie's just not that guy. And when he doesn't have Joe Pavelski and doesn't have Tyler Seguin, it leaves a lot on Jamie Benn's shoulders that he's not necessarily the best at. And this is just a perfect combination where Tyler can be himself, Jamie can be himself, and they come together to create like a super captain that does what everyone needs them to do in the room and on the ice. But in terms of coming back, I think I tweeted out yesterday, Pete DeBoer kind of laid out the whole recovery timeline for Seguin and said originally when he got that surgery in December, I think it was December 8th, early December, he was supposed to be back this week or next week was kind of the estimated timeline. The surgeon that did it, who works with all professional athletes, basically said no one has gotten back as fast as Tyler Seguin has from that surgery. And that just, obviously, full credit to this training staff and everyone that helped Seguin along the way, because it's not a one-man thing. Just like with Landeskog, it takes a village to do it. But for Tyler to just put his head down and work as hard as he did to come back and do what he's doing and playing at this high level, I think it probably benefited him to have, a little extra time. I would imagine if it was a playoff game a month ago, he might play. Right. It just felt, if the way he was skating, the way he was practicing, I could be wrong, but the way it looked to me is that he would have been ready to go if they needed him to go. But he gets an extra 2-3 weeks to get to 100%, feel really good, get his conditioning back. And he's looked like he didn't miss any time. And people forget, because it was so many months ago, he was probably their best player, him and Mason Marchment, before this surgery. And he's come back and just delivered to be that guy again. And he's so light in the room. He makes it easy for everyone to be around, and media included, coaches, players, anyone that's in that room. And I think that just goes even further than his on-ice impact in the series.
Yeah, it's been remarkable, and it's unfortunate he hasn't really been fully healthy over the last 5 years or so in some of
Yep.
these playoff runs. But he's found a way to score some big time goals. I remember a couple of years ago in that series against Minnesota, he's finding ways, and that was just a pretty goal to finish it off in Game 3. Now, I want your thoughts on the blue line. That's where everybody's concerns are, but they've held up pretty nicely. Liam Bichsel has looked pretty good for being thrown into the fire. Alec Petrovic, who played almost the entire season in the AHL, like he looks pretty good. And the Stars are finding ways to get it done. Maybe just some thoughts on some individuals and really the Stars defense in general, which has seemed to tighten some things up.
Exactly right. I think that's a good way to put it. They've tightened up where they needed to, right? We know what Harley brings. We know what Lindell brings. How good they've been is crazy, but we expect that, right? Which maybe it's bad we expect it, but that's just what they've earned. They've been those guys. But for Lybushkin, specifically for me, has really taken a step up in the playoffs. He's someone who we know him and Ceci probably don't fit playing top pairing minutes. Ceci is more comfortable playing on a third pairing, and that's nothing against him. That's just where he fits in the best. That's the style he plays the best. Lybushkin too, if you're looking at a team that's usually pretty deep, he's probably on a third pairing as well. So for them to just step up and be able to play that to that next level, and that doesn't necessarily mean doing anything crazy. It just means eliminating that one chip off the boards that goes right to the other team, or the one blind pass that leads to an icing that puts your team in a bad spot. That's the stuff. They don't need them to be superheroes. They need them to do that stuff. They're playing on with superheroes on their left, right? So for me, that's been huge. And then, as you just said, Bichsel Petrovic, that pairing had to have given people a lot of anxiety going into the series. And again, nothing against those two guys, but you're talking about a rookie 19 or 20-year-old and a player who's played less NHL games in the regular season than he has in the playoffs over the last 2 years, which is just such a weird stat. He's kind of been that guy for them the last 2 seasons, like a Joel Hanley, but times a million, because he doesn't even play in the regular season. He just comes back in the spring and takes his cape off and is a guide for them in the playoffs. But he's been good. He's been solid. That pairing specifically for me just needs to be simple. Needs to not allow the golden chances, especially here in Denver, where they're not going to be able to control the matchups. They're going to see Nathan McKinnon. They're going to see DeKale McCarrs. They're going to have to deal with that speed inside the zone, which I think I remember talking on our preview. That really worried me. The speed, the cycle of the Colorado. I haven't seen that a lot.
No.
Dallas has done a really good job. The key of ending a cycle is ending the play, right? It's not making a crazy play or going the other way with it. It's just stopping them from where they want to go. And Dallas has done a great job in either forcing Colorado to turn back and change their plan when their cycle, or just stopping it up. I mean, how many times did we see back here in Game 3 pucks along the wall that took 30 seconds to get pinned? That's ending a play. That's exactly what that is, and Dallas loved it. So that more of that, as you mentioned, more boring, slow hockey. Dallas has themselves probably a 3-1 series lead.
Yeah, Bichsel loves to end plays. He likes to deliver the boom. He's looked really good, which is awesome to see. Maybe it's another Harley type playoff run for him, where he's making an impact on that third pair. Let's get into the crucial Game 4 in Denver. I want to ask you about special teams a bit as well, because those are always critical. And we saw the Stars go 6 for 6 the other night, which was rather impressive. So we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bet if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team. You can dive into player props from 3-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. And FanDuel doesn't just have NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball's in full swing, you name it. FanDuel makes it so easy. Download the app on your phone today. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. I want to shift back to Game 3 real quick, and we got to talk the Stars penalty kill. They just seem to have Colorado a bit befuddled in game 3. And not only do they go 6 for 6, but they had to kill off over 3 minutes to begin OT before they eventually find the winner. How impressive has the Stars penalty kill been? Because they've had the advantage so far on special teams, but I imagine they would like not to take as many penalty minutes and keep loading up MacKinnon and company, because eventually it's going to come back to haunt you, but they've been great so far.
Yeah, that's number one. Pete DeBoer has said it now for months. I mean, if you look at, I forget the exact dates that I looked at the stats, but basically the last month of the season, Dallas went from like a top 10 team in terms of taking minors to near the bottom of the league. They almost took a full minute to a minute and a half more of penalties, or a 1 to 1.5 more penalties per game. And that has hurt them. It's led a lot of things in that run that we know about at the end of the season, but it also has hurt them in this series and put them in a bad spot. I mean, no worse spot than 6 power plays. And as you mentioned, 5-on-3s and double minors going into overtime. I mean, what was it? 3 minutes and 20 seconds of power play time. That is just asking to end the game for you right there. And I will say this team takes a lot of pride in killing penalties, a lot of pride. And that's probably true for most teams because that's the role those guys play. But you look at, Pete DeBoer talked about it in his media availability yesterday. Look at the guys they've lost that are penalty killing experts. They've lost Foxa. They lost Glendening. They lost Tanev.
Mm-hmm.
The list, Delandria, the guys that they have gotten rid of or lost in free agency that were top of the league penalty killers, and they've just filled them in over and over and over. And that's a huge credit to defensive coach Alain Nasruddin. He has done an amazing job with these guys to get them in the right spots and finding ways to eliminate each team's power play. The cool thing about playoffs is you can actually prepare for opponents. I mean, the regular season, coaches tell us, they're like, we do a quick little film here and there. Yeah. But other than that, you can't do much else because you have to move on and play another team 36 hours later, especially this team who plays every night, it feels like. So it's just a huge credit to them. But number one, they've got to stop doing it. And the penalties, we know the ones that need to be stopped, right? It's the Mason Marchment trip from, I think it was game 2. The high stick. I don't give Mason as much crap about the high stick in the end of last game because of where it happened. It was kind of a weird play. The guy's bent over. He's battling for the puck. He felt terrible about it, but the type of plays that don't take away any scoring chances or don't, eliminate a play are the ones you got to get rid of. And especially the ones that are a loose high stick behind the offensive zone net. Those are going to be the ones that come back to hurt you. And it's going to be ones that the coaches have a really hard time dealing with after the game. And you'll probably hear about it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I'm sure both sides aren't thrilled with the officiating, which maybe that means they're doing an okay job if both teams are angry. But 6 power plays to 3 is a tough way to live. But Dallas found a way to pull it out. Now, game 4, you mentioned you talked with Scott Wedgwood. I'm curious, just maybe hanging around the Avs locker room here in the vibes inside Ball Arena. How are they speaking about this crucial game 4? I would imagine for them, this feels like a must win. You don't want to go down 3-1 going back to Dallas, which I believe they did a year ago in that same building.
Yeah, they feel like that was their best game overall, and especially defending. So that the feeling is that that'll continue, and they'll only take the next step. Now the Landeskog, I hate to call Landeskog a distraction because obviously the human side of it, that is amazing. We're all very happy that he came back. The Stars talked about it. Pete talked about it when he was asked. But it is a distraction. It is something that's not about the game that takes up a lot of air. It takes up a lot of space in the media, in the arena. I mean, they showed him every single time on the big board at every whistle. They showed him, and the crowd started chanting his name. That's amazing and a great feeling. But it's taking away from getting in the flow of the game and for them to just put their head down and play hockey. For the Avalanche, they want to clean up a couple of areas in terms of the way Jared Bednar said was Dallas loves to put the puck in an area and go get it. And as we just talked about with ending plays, that's how you have to stop the Stars to flip things around on the scouting here. The Avs need to be able to get pucks out of their own end quicker. They need to eliminate the Dallas forecheck. We know the Stars are at their best when they're playing heavy downhill and they're creating off the forecheck, right? They're not the best rush team like Colorado is. They can get up and go. But their bread and butter is put it in an area, go get it, create chaos, pin a team deep for a minute, especially when you're playing against MacKinnon and those guys to be able to keep them in their own end. So for Colorado, there's a lot of belief. Scott Wedgwood specifically told me and I've heard this from a plethora of players and coaches, the wave of emotions are huge in the playoffs. If you can, same in the regular season, right? You can't ride every loss and every win high and low, because you're gonna gas out by the time the playoffs come. In the playoffs, it's a little bit different because it's not as long, right? You're not playing 82 games over a long 8-month period. But when you win game one, you feel like, wow, we're going to sweep this series. We're going to win the Stanley Cup. And that's what fans feel too. And that's not exclusive to fans. It's really how you feel, because it's such a big emotional lift each time you win, because you put so much into every single game in the playoffs. But then you lose game 2 and maybe game 3, and you're like, oh man, we're never going to win again. Their season's over. So to the teams that are able to kind of weather that and just stay even keeled and, take the right amount of intensity, if you really need to change and amp up your intensity, you take that. But in terms of just keep staying flat, being able to come here, understand these games have been one bounce away from going both directions, that'll help them to be able to respond. And for the Stars, it's the same thing. It's understanding that we've gone from no one believing in us to all of a sudden people start to think we're going to win the Stanley Cup again.
Yes.
Let's stay even keeled here. Understand that 60 minutes puts us in a spot to go back home and have a chance to end this series, which after game 1, I don't think anybody believed that would be the case.
Well, back-to-back overtime wins in the first round feel like you win a cup sometimes. It really does. It's just thrilling scenes in Blackball and Sagan, the overtime winners. I got to ask you about a former Av real quick, and Mikko Ranson, and then we'll let you go. Man, game 3, thought it was his best game of the series. It just feels like once he gets one to go, man, like, because he was in around the net the other night. I know a lot of fans out there seen him flop around and he's fallen and stuff, and I get it, but he was instrumental in the overtime goal. He's getting to those right places. Just feels like he needs to get one to go, and then maybe the floodgates open. But that was a great sign for Mikko, and seems like he's playing pretty good. And this is an emotional series for him too, having to go back to Colorado once again.
Yeah, I think Landeskog did him a favor by taking some of the storylines off of him, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
But Pete said it just today again. He said it last game. That was his best game that he's seen, probably since he came to the team. He was great. That goal, I think, will go a long way. That play that he made to set up that overtime winning goal. But you're right. It feels like it's very close. I will say this. The one thing I see, just my own opinion from watching that last game, and I think in game 2 as well, the last piece of the puzzle seems to be missing from him right now, where he creates, he protects the puck, he looks great, he makes good moves, and then he picks his head up, and the Mikko Rantanen saucer pass that you see, it doesn't go. It falls off the end of his stick, or it goes into the corner, or he throws it right to an Avalanche defender. And then the same thing with shots. He creates a chance, he picks his head up, he looks like he's got a chance to shoot it, and all of a sudden it's kind of fallen off and it's in the corner, or he misses the net by 3 feet. That is, I guess, a good thing, because it's just one thing that's missing. It's not his game is a mess. It's not he's chaotic, he's not controlled, or whatever it is. It's just, it feels like that's the final piece that's missing. So maybe that play to set up the goal does it. Maybe you're right, and we need to see him put one in the back of the net in this series, and that opens it up. You really don't know. For him, I'll tell you this, he doesn't look like a very stressed out guy. He looks very calm. He looks like he's enjoying it. He looks like he's loving the Finn line that he's on. He's able to speak his native language to them. They chat on the bench, and it feels like that was the right move, right, to kind of fit the lines better together a little bit. I just think that for him, it's that final piece, and maybe it's a goal, maybe it's an assist, maybe it's just an emotional part for him. He just needs that last part to go, and then I don't know that we'll see the Mikko Rantanen that's scoring 4 points a night, just because one, I don't know what type of Mikko Rantanen we're going to see with the Stars over the 8 years. We don't know that yet. We don't know how much of it was Nathan MacKinnon. We know he's an elite player. It's a great signing. We just don't know to what extent. We don't know if we expect him to see, to be putting up 3 points a night. The Stars don't need him to, with the way their lineup is. So for me, I hope to see tomorrow for him to create those chances and then get that shot on net, get that pass to the tape, not turn it over and kind of look a little bit disappointed in himself, because I think that'll go a long way.
Yeah, keep building. Well, game 4 is tomorrow night, going to be another fun one in Denver. Sam, thank you so much for taking some time on the day off to come chat with us. Enjoy game 4 tomorrow. Enjoy maybe some sightseeing. I know you said it was raining, so maybe you can't get out and do much, but enjoy Denver for the next couple days.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can stop just managing your money. You start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you just realize how much easier it is to get in with your budgeting, get in tune with your investing. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals with you and your partner. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Want to say a big thank you to Sam once again for joining me today. It was nice of him to take some time out of his day to chat Stars and Avs. And I want to carry that into this final segment. And I also just have a few thoughts I want to share on some of the other series in the first round in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But let's talk about Colorado and Dallas, because there is some interesting numbers I want to bring up from Natural Stat Trick. Some of the 5v5 numbers are always interesting. You look at the Corsi for percentage, and that's usually a good indicator of who's dictating the play, has the puck, possession, and it calculates shots, missed shots, attempts, all of that good stuff. But right now, Colorado 53.66, Dallas at 46.34. But this may be a more encouraging sign for Stars fans. You go to expected goals for, and this combines all three games of this series. Stars 7.262, or pardon me, 7.62 is the expected goals for number for Dallas. Colorado 5.84. So the Stars have an advantage there. The scoring chances are very similar. 71 for Dallas, 69 for Colorado. The high danger chances, 32 for Dallas, 29 for Colorado. And as we touched on with Sam, very slim margins. These games are very tight, and it's a bounce here or there that could change the outcome. But Dallas is doing a really good job on the offensive side of things. And we talked about this a bit after game 3 as well. Yes, Dallas was controlling and dictating the play. They go in, they put a puck in the area, they try to go get it, but they also need to create chances off of that. Can they get pucks on net, right? Can they direct pucks to the blue paint and not play around the perimeter? And I think Colorado would like to change that a bit as well. They've been a bit too perimeter, or at least in game 3, we saw that they need to try to test Ottinger a bit more. But this is where I'm really encouraged about the Stars, and you can look at some of the line combinations. Sagan, Marchand, Duchesne, one of the best lines in all of hockey. Well, they're proving to be that again here in this series. Expected goals for 1.97 at 5-on-5. The next closest is actually the McKinnon line with Heiskanen and Necas, 1.29. But that line has an advantage on the top line for Colorado. You look at Hintz, Granlund, Ranson at 1.16. That is the second highest out of all the other trios between the two sides. So the Stars' depth is showing its teeth a bit. And if Rantanen can start finishing, like Sam mentioned, maybe it's just completing that tape-to-tape pass. Maybe it's finding the back of the net. Then boom, Stars can be off and running. So that's really encouraging. You look at some of the individual numbers as well. Of course, Harley's played a ton, and so has Esa Lindell. And Ceci, for that matter, at 5-on-5 has played 58 minutes. That's very, very close with Esa Lindell. And Ceci hasn't looked amazing in the series. The Lindell and Ceci pairing has been a bit of an issue at times, but the Stars don't have a lot of options right now. If Miro comes back, he can play with Esa Lindell, and that will help Lindell play better, and it will put Ceci in a more suitable role if they want to drop him down to the third pair. Maybe Petrovic comes out, although Petrovic and Bichel, you may just want to keep them together. I think they've been really, really solid. You look at some of the shots for numbers; those are always something that intrigues me when these guys are on the ice. How many shots are they giving up? How many shots are they producing? You look at Ceci, 21 shots for, 27 against, and Lindell is right there too. 19 shots for, 29 against. So that pair has had to defend hard. And this is 5-on-5 numbers. So this doesn't include the PK work and all of that, which they've been very, very good at. Sam mentioned Lybushkin. He's about middle. He's even in terms of the shots for, 30-30. His expected goals against is 1.9, which is the third, make it the fourth worst on Dallas at 5-on-5. If you look at the highest expected goals against, Ceci's number one, Lindell's behind him, Harley and Lybushkin. Harley, of course, is playing a ton. He's played 11 minutes more than the next closest defenseman on Dallas, and that's Lybushkin at 60 minutes, 60-45. So Harley's going to be out there for some looks, just by happenstance. He's playing a ton, but we all know what Harley has been able to produce, and that's why Miro possibly coming back is so encouraging, because you can break up that Lindell-Ceci pairing. Maybe Miro slides in. You'll leave Harley with Lybushkin. Either Ceci maybe comes out of your lineup. Maybe he slots in with Bischel. And now you have a pretty favorable or pretty nice right side for the most part. You got Miro, Lindell, Harley, Lybushkin, Bischel, Ceci, Petrovic. You're a bit more stable there. And Ceci doesn't have to play 24 minutes a night, which he's currently playing. And that's a lot for Cody Ceci. So it looks like Miro's not going to be back for game 4, which stinks. I think a lot of us were hoping he would return, but it seems like he's getting closer each and every day. So those are just some numbers and some comparisons I wanted to share with you through the first 3 games of the series, because it is fascinating. And where Dallas, we thought, had an edge, that's starting to show a bit so far. But we all know Colorado is going to be desperate in game 4 to try to even the series heading back to Dallas. Now, did want to talk about some of just the other first-round series. Toronto, of course, is up on Ottawa 3-0. That's really a non-factor. Florida taking it to Tampa Bay, which I guess isn't a huge surprise. Tkachuk came back, had the hat trick. So the Battle of Florida heavily in favor of the Panthers right now. And I think they have to be one of the favorites to win it again. They just have a great makeup. And they play a style that just wins this time of year. Washington's taking care of business out east. Really, the East series have been pretty meh. Carolina already up 2-0 on New Jersey. We'll see if some of that changes tonight with a few wins. But West has been interesting. Look, I haven't watched a ton of all these series. I have watched quite a bit of Vegas, Minnesota. Minnesota's been impressive, and they were sort of like Dallas, where they just weren't playing very well towards the end of the regular season, but they were missing 2 of their best players. They had so many injuries. Kaprizov, Eriksson Ek, Spurgeon, their captain, right? And it's easy to forget. It's really easy to forget. Minnesota more than likely would have been a 2 seed, maybe would have competed to win the Central if it wasn't for the amount of injuries they had. If you recall, they were humming off the hop. The first 2.5, 3 months were humming, and then all the injuries piled up, and they end up being a wild card team. But more than likely, if they didn't have all those injuries, we would have seen the Stars Minnesota in this first round, or maybe Dallas falls to a wild card spot. That would have been certainly a possibility. But Minnesota being up 2-1 on Vegas. Vegas hasn't looked that great, especially their last couple of games. Minnesota has taken it to them. So we'll see how they respond in game 4. LA is just going after Edmonton. Skinner hasn't looked great for whatever reason. He just showed up in the Western Conference final last year. Hasn't looked great so far, but the team in front of him hasn't either. And St. Louis obviously thumped Winnipeg last night. They are just tricky. They've had some leads in each of those games, and Winnipeg was able to fight back in a few of them, but St. Louis at home really punched Winnipeg in the mouth. So that could be a series that could be interesting the rest of the way. And the Blues, man, they just have a lot of scores. Yeah, Kyrou and Buchnevich, Thomas, they have some guys that can finish. And Winnipeg, of course, trying to exercise some demons over the past few years. But the West is rather interesting. The East, for the most part, not not a ton of, not a ton of barn burners, although, Washington won a game in overtime. Montreal's kept it close, but look, each of the East series, there's one team with 0 wins. So maybe that changes tonight. And the West, the top of the West, man, it's going to be a gauntlet. And it's going to be rather intriguing to see the second round matchups, especially between Vegas, Minnesota, LA, Edmonton. Minnesota has Vegas on the ropes. Can they deliver the punch? Can they deliver the knockout blow? We will see. So great stuff in the first round, as always. And the Stars have that 2-1 series advantage and a chance to go back to Dallas for Game 5 with a stranglehold on the series. Can't wait for Game 4 tomorrow, 8:30 puck drop, I believe, again in Denver. I'll have an episode out after that one for you all. So be on the lookout for that. Again, thank you to Sam Nestler for joining us today. Good to catch up with him in Denver. Had some great updates right after Stars practice. So have a great day, Stars fans. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow after Game 4. Maybe a Stars win, but going to be, I think, probably one of the best games of the series, no matter what the result is. So everybody enjoy. See you tomorrow.